Good day, sir. Good day, classmates. This is the report of Group 2, and our topic is all about the global city. I am Jamil A. Tanasan, and I am the first reporter on this group. And my topic is all about what is the meaning of global city. A global city is also called world city or sometimes alpha city or world center is a city generally considered to be an important node in the global economic system. The concept comes from geography and urban studies, an idea that globalization can be understood as largely created, facilitate, and enacted in strategic geography locales. According to hierarchy of importance to the operation of global system of finance and trade. So the Saskia Sassin, the use of the global city is opposed to megacity was popularized by sociologist Saskia Sassin in her 1991 work, The Global City. New York, London, Tokyo, although the term world city is referred to cities that control uh, disproportionate amount of global business, dates to at least the May 1986 description of Liverpool by Illustrated Illustrate, Illustrated London News. The complex of the entire entities of a is the global city whereby the leakage binding a city have a direct and effect on global affairs through socio-economic means. Global city is identified in four ways. Number one is scale location for finance and specialized service firm which have replaced manufacturing as leading economic service. The second is site of production, including the production of innovation in leading industries. The third is highly concentrated concentrated command points in the organization of the world economic. And the last is market for the products and innovation produced. Patrick Geddes also used term world city. Later in 1915, more recently than term has been described as being syn, uh, synonymous with a city's influence and financial capital with other factors becoming less relevant. So in the age of globalization, the activities of production are created on a global basis. This complex globalized production networks require new forms of financial and producer service to manage them. So this service of often complex and require highly specialized skills. Though those they are subject to agglomeration economic and tend a cluster in a limited numbers of city. So because of specialized and talent and firms related to different specialties can can cluster in the different cities. This means that there are actually uh, quite a few of these specialized like production nodes, because they don't necessarily directly compete with each other, and having different groupings of specialties. So in this world, a global city is a significant production point of specialized finance and producer. So service that make globalized economy run. Sasi, Saskia Sassin covered specifically New York, London, and Tokyo in her book, but but there but they are many more global city than this. So New York is a more decentralized decentralized urban system, and London is a slow history long sorry has a long history of.
Good day everyone, I am here to report about the characteristics of the global city. By the way, I am Ankahas, I am Jubanli, engine cadet of the sociology, which entitled of the contemporary world. So what are the characteristics of global city? There are 7 characteristics of global city. First is the home to major stock exchange and indexes. Second is influential and international politics affair. Third is home to world renewed cultural institution. Fourth, service a major media hub. Live large and fifth, large mass transit network. Then 6, home to a large international airport. And lastly is having a permanent skyline. So first is the home to major stock exchange and indexes. A stock indexes is a gauge to read the whole market. A stock exchange company, Home Depot, and Walmart, the larger retailer in the world. So it is the global city or the world city are concept which postulates the globalization can be broken down in terms of strategic, geographic, local, and that say the global. So kanang dagko sila og mga stocks where their product can exchange in the other cities. Dagko sila yung mga sources. Ang next next kay influential in international political affairs. So international relations or international affair is the specific study of interactions between sovereign states. So sila ang sila ang influence to the other states or other cities nga tag-as kay sila og political aspects kanang sila they are the one who are the influencer of politics. Next is the home to world renewed cultural institution. So a cultural institution or cultural organization is an organization which a culture or subculture that works for a preservation or promotion of culture. So the cultural institution is the one who are organize your cities which the world renewed culture institution. For example in the Philippines, even the Philippines is not a global city, pero the example of this is like here in the Philippines, Malacanang. It is the one who who wants promote our culture. That is the one of the home toward renewed culture institution. Um, that's for that's all for today, and thank you for the continuation of my video is Fajardo.
Colonial, imperial, and Tokyo with a little of the cultural diversity or dynamics.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Chino T. Fajardo and today's report is about the characteristic of a global city. One of the characteristic of a global city is having a prominent skyline. The skyline has a historical symbol for power, wealth, and prosperity. So, the skyline for me is the output or a product of a booming city, or we call a establishment na build tungod sa iyang kuan ng economic growth or pag-boom sa isa ka city. And matakol ra nato nganong nakaingon ko na kana siya moy isa kanang ang kanang mga skyline, like something like that nga mga building is mao ang output. So let's begin. Home to a large international airport. So international airport include customs and international terminal. Passenger can fly abroad through direct or connecting flights. As I said ganiha, like mauna siya kana siya karon nga kuan, home to a large international airport is one of the reason why nga ni boom ang isa ka city. It's because dali na lang ang iyang pag-transport. For example, mga businessman nga taga Manila tapos naa sila business diri sa Cebu, direct flight na lang sila through airplane and di na sila magroro or mag land trip pa. And for some reason is kuan sad sa tourism, kung unsa nga kuan, unsay trend, kung unsay bag-o nga kuan karon, mga spots for kuan, especially sa anang summer spots or dagan nga kaliguanan diri sa Cebu kung unsay sikat. And ang mga local tourist and foreign tourist is easy to access na because of the international airport nga naa diri sa Cebu. Large mass transit network. Mass transit, or also called mass transportation or public transportation, the movement of people within urban areas using group travel technologies. Dako gihapon siya og tabang because some workers are far from their workplace and dili sad tanan nga worker na ay kuan kanang naa sila kaugalingong sakyanan. So kinahanglan sila mo sakay sila og PUJ, bus, ya kanang maka kuan gyapon sila, maka adto gyapon sila sa ilahang workplace or specific place nga adtoan nila. And mass transportation is dili ra siya kutob sa kuan pagserbisyo sa tao, kundi magkuan sad siya, naghatag sad siya og role sa kuan sa mga products. For example, ang goods, whether a processed good or a material pa, kanang material goods pa. It's because ang transportation is dali ra siya maka-access siya, even though more of the transportation are land trips but dako gyapon siya tabang kay mas produce man ang isa ka company if ang product is dali maabot, daghan man ang iyang mahimo nga product, and mas kuan sad ka nang dali sad siya kung gamiton siya sa mga tawo. Kung for example na dali ra siya maka atang padulong sa iyang workplace. I-service media hub. Media hub is a service to advertisers. It offers advertisers a totally independent and transparent evaluation of the way their media budget has been developed, deployed, and managed. So, or this service media hub, or what we call mass media, is naghatag sad ni siya og dako nga role para matawag nato ang isa ka place nga globalize siya and productive siya nga city. It's because through media like newspaper, radio, and television, and sa social media sad is sa YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Through that technology and written, dali siya makaspread og information in a specific country, like na i-trend diri sa Cebu nga bag-o nga spot nga daghan nga, for example ang seaside, na sikat na ang seaside karon, na madali ra siya ma-spread through social media, through Facebook, and so through that, by that, daghan nga mga tourist, local or mga foreign tourist nga mahinganyo nga moanid diri sa Cebu. It's because of that information. And then sa katuang previous nga gidiscuss, magamit na to siya tong tanan, mass transportation, katong sa airport gani, katong sa airport, and katong ang output sa iyang ani nga topic karon is katong skyline, which is ang mga businessman is mainganyo sad sila og tukod og mga buildings diri sa Cebu. It's because kay productive naman ang Cebu. That's all. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. I am Engine Cadet Lance Riquillo Miguel, here today in front of you to talk about what are the examples of global cities. So, the definition and characteristics has already been explained by our other group members. So, I will be tackling on what are the examples of global cities. So, let's proceed. So, the city I will be tackling on is New York City. So, this is one of the biggest global cities in the world. Next. So, New York City is the most populous city in the United States of America, having over 8,804,190 people living in it. So, with that much people means more business, more buildings, and more greater infrastructure. New York City also having 3 airports, meaning it is most accessible, and cultural interactivity is very alive. So a lot of people come to New York City and for businessmen or other stuff. So let's proceed. So it is the center of international business, a command center in the world's economy, and also the main center for business such as legal service, world trade, insurance, banking, and bank etc. So with New York City having such a great economical growth, New York City has been considered to be one of the largest cities in the world in terms of economy. So next, let's proceed. In New York City is considered to be a global city because it has powerful organizations that are linked to the other parts of and many of the major corporations and multinational companies are headquartered in the city. So for a global city to be considered a global city, it needs a lot of capital, a lot of information of trade, business, and multinational companies. So New York City has all that. So I will elaborate more on that on the next one. So New York City made it as a global city because it is considered as a location for one of the major centrals of finance and commerce. So that what makes New York City one of global city. So next, Manhattan, which is one of the districts of New York City. It is the economical heart of the city that contains many headquarters such as the United Nations, which has a major influence in the world, as well as the stock exchange in Wall Street. So New York City really has a lot of trade. So next, since the stock market is present in New York, the city has an advantage of controlling on what goes in and out of the country. So thus, if a problem occurs in New York City, it means that it will have an effect on the stock market. So an example of this is during the September attack. So 2001, the 9/11, there was an effect on the global economy, causing the global stock market to decrease rapidly due to the World Trade Center being attacked by a plane crash. So sorry, I ran out of space in my phone. So let us proceed to the next slide, which is Hong Kong City. So we will be talking about Hong Kong City. So let's proceed. So Hong Kong City, positioning as Asia's world city. Like other world cities such as London and New York, having a population of 7 million. So Hong Kong being positioning as such highlights Hong Kong's existing strengths in areas such as financial resources, financial service, trade, tourism, transport, communication, and as a regional hub for international business and major cities in China. So that is what makes Hong Kong positioning as Asia's world city. So we will expand more on that, on why it is considered to be Asia's world city. So next, its role as a manager and coordinator of global economical activities. So it is the first place to some businesses happen. So it will provide. So next, a core of world-class service providers and a highly productive workforce. Next, modern hard and soft infrastructure, educational and other institutions focus on knowledge creation and enhancing the quality of life. Commitment to maintaining the rule of law, freedom of expression and association, the free flow of information, openness, and diversity. And next is strong link with its hinterland, the Pearl River Delta, one of the most rapidly growing regions in the world. So this would all not be possible if not of the Brand Hong Kong program in May 2011 to provide greater focus on international promotion of Hong Kong as Asia's world city. So they really work hard on that. They even they had to make rapid and major changes on their cities and even on their culture to more appealing to other countries and other nations. So a lot of tourism happen in Hong Kong. So thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you have all a wonderful day, and let's go to the next.
Good day, everyone. My name is James Edward Lepitin, and I'm here to present some of the examples of global city. So global city an urban center that enjoys significant competitive advantages and that serves as a hub within a globalized economic system. The term has its origins in research on cities carried out during the 1980s, which examined the common characteristics of the world's most important cities. Examples of global city. First, London, second, Shanghai, and third, Paris. London. The City of London Corporation runs the global city to showcase the UK's offer for financial and professional services on one platform, providing a compelling evidence based of research, statistics, and partner stories. The campaign aims to attract talent, business, and investment. Second one, Shanghai. Shanghai is an accelerating, fast-growing, and culturally rich global city with more than 24 million people, 40% of those being foreign-born. Shanghai is one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Paris. In imagination and in fact, Paris is a quintessential global city. It has been one of the world's most visited places for centuries, and its economy prospers today thanks to a well-educated workforce, modern infrastructure, and global niches in creative industries, businesses, services, and tourism. That's all, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Engine Cadet Agustin Olid. My topic is about what are the challenges of global cities with the COVID-19 pandemic. What has been the impact so far? COVID-19 has not really produced anything new, but it's dramatically accelerating existing trends that have been affecting global city for a number of years. We pr- we previously thought some of these trends such as working from home and higher levels of e-commerce will take place over the next 5 to 10 years. But now think they will take place over the next 2 to 3 years. The impact of these trends will be to erode the value of certain assets such as office buildings and retail units. How will COVID-19 affect global cities? A lot will depend on whether or not we get a vaccine for COVID-19. If we move into a world where there is no vaccine, human interaction in cities such as London will be greatly reduced. Interaction will still occur, but people will only come into the center for an important meeting or engagement. However, the premise of a city and its efficiency is all about the sharing of information. So we think that certain cities will remain specialists in their particular field, and so interaction will still be important. Will working from home continue after COVID-19? None of us will be working from home 5 days a week anytime soon. I don't think any of us want that, as we are all craving interaction with other people. We believe that after the crisis, the number of days that people work from home will dramatically increase. So whereas before the crisis, I work from home maybe 1 or 2 days a month, that may increase to 2 or 3 days a week. However, I will still want to go into the office to meet people. The interaction will reduce, but they will still be necessary. If there are fewer people in a city, less open, how will that affect restaurants and hotels, etc.? These sectors really are front and center right now. Even before the pandemic struck, when we look at the most vulnerable income streams, they were always on the cliff edge of the economy. A hotel is a classic example of that. Every night, the price of a hotel room can change. If there is more demand, the price goes up. If there's less demand, it goes down. Now, there's a less demand for hotels and also less demand for physical shop as people switch to online shopping. However, e-commerce is not a new trend. It's been hitting the retail sector for a number of years, and it explains why we are pessimistic regarding the long-term opportunity within this sector of the real estate world. If there is no vaccine, what do you think cities will look like in the future? If there's no vaccine, we will see a far higher number of younger people in cities. It's clear that younger people are less affected by COVID-19. So, potentially cities will become younger in the future. There will be clearly be less demand for offices as people will still be working from home. So, in a year's time, you will see a number of organizations having reduced their demand for office space because they no longer need it. They will also seek to ensure that their offices are in location that people can move into and out of easily. This could be by cycle lanes or via public transport. Trying to reduce the numbers of employees traveling at peak hours will also be key. If we have a vaccine, will office demand still be less than before the crisis? Yes, demand for both office and retail space will still be weaker. E-commerce is seeing a huge increase in penetration levels. All those people who never wanted to order their groceries online are now having to do it and are realizing that it's a pretty efficient experience. Even with a vaccine, the same trends will continue and these are likely to accelerate. Finally, how sustainable are global city? Sustainability is front a century with regard to cities. It is very clear that if you live in a city, you have a smaller carbon footprint than someone living in a rural area. So in order for government to achieve the zero net carbon emission targets that they have now committed to, cities are going to be an essential component in achieving these goals. So we think with or without a vaccine, governments will continue to encourage people to live in cities, to live in apartment buildings that use less energy than house, and to use public transport.
Good day everyone. And now we are going to tackle about the challenges of global cities with the COVID-19 pandemic. Here are the challenges. First is the environmental quality. We have the environmental factors, the social impacts, economic impacts, management and governance, and lastly is the transportation. When we say environmental quality, its common example is such as air quality. So, traffic emission are major sources of pollution in many cities, for instance. Non-traffic sources of pollution are also important in some contexts. In some contexts, COVID-19 transmission, mortality or mortality rates are strongly associated with high levels of air pollution. Also, long-term exposure to air pollution can increase human vulnerability to pandemics. Second is the environmental factors. Evidence on the association between temperature and COVID-19 transmission rate are inclusive. So when the wind speed is low, air pollution is likely to intensify transmission rate. Third is social impacts. COVID-19 has exposed old problems and inequalities in a new light. We all know that inequalities makes containment challenging and may also lead to further diffusion of the virus. Moreover, enforcing social distancing and other response measures is challenging in slums. Next is the economic impacts. Hence, homogeneous economic structure increases vulnerability. Also, marginalized groups are disproportionately affected by the economic impacts of the pandemic. And of course, global supply chain makes cities vulnerable to disruptive events. Next is management and governance. Absence of proactive planning and emergency plans is a major reason for failure to respond effectively in some countries. And fragmented urban governance erodes response and adaptation capacities as well. Lastly is the transportation. Increased transport connectivity is a risk factor that may contribute to the diffusion of infection diseases. And it is undeniable that public transportation may increase the risk of transmission during pandemics, and I can conclude that the pandemic may increase negative attitudes towards public transportation. And that's all for the challenges of global city in facing COVID-19. Thank you.